Hello, I'm Sam from Cultaholic.com, and this is Graded for Friday Night SmackDown, where I take a look at the show segment by segment and award each little bit a grade from A+ to F. Now the Rumble is rapidly approaching. There's a big return from a throwback star tonight. There's all sorts happening. There's more heavy machinery Mandy Rose stuff. There's a big Roman Reigns thing. There's just loads, so let's crack on with it. Hit the intro. So the show opens and then Kane's music hits. That's right, the throwback star is Kane. Kane comes down to the ring and announces that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. He's still being all spoopy. He holds the career elimination record after all, but he's sort of like, giving it like, there is nothing more satisfying than when you throw a man over the top rope and both of his feet touch the floor and you see the dreams die in his eyes. Just that sort of stuff. But he's cut off by Firefly Funhouse. So Bray pops up and Bray accuses Kane of being a bit of a bully, and he shows some footage, just like one of those Wyatt supercut style things, of just the footage of the past between the old Bray Wyatt and Kane, and just sort of getting Kane to remember the things he did to the old Bray. So after Funhouse in the arena, all the lights go off. The Fiend is coming. When the red lights come on, Kane is on the outside. The Fiend is like crawling his way up out of the ring, and Kane just turns to him and smiles, and he's like, "What took you so long?" And the Fiend sort of gets up, and then he's immediately nailed with a running knee from Daniel Bryan. The Fiend then tries to escape through the hole in the ring that he crawled in from, but Bryan is sort of grabbing him, trying to stop him, and Bryan, like mirroring what happened with Bryan and the Fiend, Bryan is pulling out the dreadlocks. The Fiend escapes, but Bryan's got a handful of hair. And then after the break, Bryan is walking with the Fiend backstage, and they're sort of having a conversation. Kane leaves, and this reporter's like, "Bryan, like, what's going on, man?" And he's like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, the Fiend is scared. He's scared of me, and whenever he gets like close to being beaten, he just tries to escape. He just disappears, and that's it. So at the Rumble, I'm going to make sure he can't disappear. We're going to have a strap match." I'm going to give this a B+. It had Kane in it. I love Kane. Anything with Kane in it, it's just great. I can't wait to see him in the Rumble, just for throwback purposes. I'm not expecting him to do well in it. Just, it's Kane, throwback. I just think it's a bit silly to put the Fiend in a strap match at the Rumble, because Bryan is making such a big deal about how the Fiend can't escape the strap. He's going to escape the strap. 1,000% he's going to escape the strap. We then go to the ring for the first match of the night, which is John Morrison in his big return match against Big E. Oh, Miz and Kofi are at ringside for this one. Kofi is now rocking blonde hair. It looks awesome. Morrison, however, starts this match off strong. He's just sort of dominating Big E. He even takes him to the outside and hits like a hanging neck breaker from like the apron to the floor. That was pretty cool. But when he goes for a standing moonsault, Big E catches him, sort of lying down, catches him, and then rolls through backwards and tries for a big ending. Morrison escapes though. Even though Morrison escaped, Big E uses this as his sort of Hulk up, and Morrison eats a lot of abuse in this stage of the match. Like, he even pokes Big E in the eyes, and Big E's just like sort of stumbles a little bit, but he's not gonna let that stop him going after him. Eventually, Miz and Kofi get into it on the outside. Morrison has Big E like banged to rights in the ring, but instead chooses to attack Kofi. That was a little bit weird. And then when Morrison's back up on the apron, like Big E is stirring, he gets up. Miz manages to like pull Morrison out in time. Big E gets sort of like laid out. Morrison hits Starship Pain and picks up the win. But I'm only going to give this match a C+. It was an alright match. It was a nice little refresher of Morrison's abilities. This little weird questionable things, like why did he attack Kofi on the outside? Like, as much as I like the fact that him and Miz are back together, I sort of want to see him go on a singles tear, because, he's getting on. I don't think he's going to be with the company for, like another 10 years. So I want to see like a big final run for Morrison. Yes, some tag stuff to start with, but please, can we just get him into the singles game? We then go backstage, and it's the Usos and Roman Reigns, and this is how you shoot a promo. Jesus, there's a smoke machine, there's all sorts. It's like proper atmospheric. They're lit from behind. It's just so well shot. So the Usos hammer home what commentary's already told us about 5 times tonight. If Roman wins his tables match against Robert Roode tonight, he gets to choose the stipulation for his match against Corbin at Royal Rumble. If Roode wins, Corbin gets to pick the stip. The Usos then hype their match against the Revival, and then we go straight to their match against the Revival. So Dawson starts by outmaneuvering Jimmy, but the Usos quickly take control. However, Wilder is able to get in on the tag, and then him and Dawson just sort of isolate Jay. You know what? what they're good at, like proper traditional tag team wrestling. Take him into your corner, don't let him escape, grind him down into a million little pieces. Eventually, Jimmy does get the hot tag, he cleans house, he nails Wilder with this huge splash. The Usos then wipe out the Revival with stereo kicks before Jimmy hits the splash to pick up the win. I'm going to give this one a B-. It was a pretty straightforward match, but it had its moments, and the chemistry between these two teams is undeniable. I think for now, the right team won here. There's all the rumblings of the Revival, potentially leaving WWE for a while, so we'll see what happens there. But, the Usos really need to look strong. They're sort of doing the whole thing with Roman. I think it makes sense. We then go to the Revival backstage, and they're sort of being interviewed, and they're like, well, if WWE's not going to make a change to accommodate us, then maybe the Revival needs to make a change. Sort of, again, hinting that they may leave the company. But this is quickly interrupted by, you just hear, your standard like, like fighting noises. The camera runs down the corridor to find out who it is, and it is Bayley brawling with Lacey Evans, and Sasha is on the floor clutching her leg. We then go to Mandy and Sonya, who are backstage. Mandy's like, look, Sonya, I know I've been distracted recently, but I'm going to be at ringside for your match tonight, and 2020 is our year. And then Sonya weirdly goes, is Otis coming to ringside for my match tonight? Because, first I had my doubts about the whole thing. I didn't quite know what you were doing with Otis, but after last week I understand, And Mandy's sort of confused by this, but Sonya's hinting that Mandy is using Otis in order to distract her opponents and win matches. Mandy, though, seems sort of just bewildered at the suggestion of it. So Mandy says she'll see what she can do, and then we go to another promo with Bayley and Sasha, but now they're in the doctor's office. Bayley is running her mouth about how she's going to break every bone in Lacey's body. She's going to make her a stay-at-home mom because apparently Bayley just hates mothers. That's her whole gimmick now. And then Adam Pearce, WWE producer, appears in shot, and they're all like, oh god, no, what are you doing here? And he's like, look, Sasha, you've ducked this match twice now. And she's like, it's not my fault, my leg hurts, she did this to me. And then he's like, okay, well, screw it, we've advertised this match, we've built this whole show around it, it's been out there on the posters, the people in this city think this match is happening, but now it can't. So, Bayley, you're gonna do it. And Bayley's like, what? And he's like, well, you were just saying you're going to break every bone in her body. It's a non-title match, so don't worry about that, but you have to go and take Lacey on. And then we go straight to the ring for Bayley versus Lacey Evans in a non-title match. So Bayley immediately peels out of the ring. Lacey follows her. Bayley jumps back in. And then when Lacey jumps in after her, she starts laying in the stomps. Lacey eats a hell of a lot of abuse, and she's sort of like a Terminator. She just takes it, stands back up, and then starts laying it in herself. It's sort of the course of this match is very much that. So the crowd are slowly getting on Lacey's side because Bayley is doing everything she can. She's tried cheap pins with her feet on the ropes. She's every little sucker punch she can get in, every sort of little bit extra couple of seconds on a hold when she's being told to break it. Lacey is really getting beaten down, but when the crowd starts getting behind her, she starts really hulking up. This all culminates with her hitting that step up moonsault thing she does onto Bayley. Bayley gets her knees up, however, and Bayley again just starts laying it in. And then the end of the match comes from nowhere, and it's sort of cool because it's just what would happen in a fight in real life if you got caught with it. So Bayley goes into the ropes, she comes running back, and Lacey just connects with the women's right. Just a right hook, just flipping bang right in the face. Bayley goes down, Lacey picks up a big win. I'm going to give this one a B-. I enjoyed that Bayley got a bit blindsided by the finish there because, as I said, in a real fight, which, this is simulated fighting, so it should have some similar rules. I don't know why she's allowed to do it because closed fists traditionally aren't allowed in wrestling, but, Lacey's finisher is a punch to the face, and it knocked her down, and it just wiped her out. That was it. I liked that was just sort of out of nowhere, just like a quick bang, done. However, I don't understand why we keep putting our women's champion in with Lacey when Sasha is sort of ducking all the responsibility here. I know that this is probably eventually going to lead to her and Bayley having their own ructions because she's going to keep sort of throwing Bayley under the bus, but it doesn't make a lot of sense as to why we can't have Sasha versus Lacey. We then go to a backstage promo with Shorty G. Oh God, Shorty G. He is asked about Sheamus attacking him, how Sheamus has a massive problem with him now that he's come back to SmackDown. And he's like, you know what, and he does his usual shtick. He's like, I just want everybody to be proud of who they are and be happy with themselves, no matter how tall they are, what size they are, anything. Super positive, great message. And then Sheamus appears and he's just condescending. He's just proper patting him on the head and just running him down for being short. And then G G snaps. He just proper lays it in, starts like smacking him, and then gets up and walks off, and Sheamus can't quite believe it. He's like blindsided by it. It's good. We then go to another backstage interview with Braun Strowman, who says that he's going to be a part of the Rumble match, but he still wants to clarify the situation with the IC belt. He wants that title. He wants to know when he can get his hands on it. And then we go out to the ring for Elias, who has written a song called Walking in Greensboro, because we're in Greensboro, and he's immediately cut off the second he starts playing by Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Zayn apologizes him for interrupting in a sort of dickish way, as he does, but he says, we need to deal with this Braun Strowman situation. He's running around backstage. This isn't safe. It just needs to be dealt with, and then we'll get out your hair. Zayn pretty much says the IC belt won't be defended before or at the Rumble. He's like, let me remind you, Shinsuke Nakamura won a Royal Rumble, and he sort of just runs down Braun Strowman. Before they leave, Elias sings a song about them. They storm the ring, they start beating him down, and then Braun's music hits. He makes the save, stops Elias getting murdered, and then there's like a big old stare down. It's also worth noting that Braun threw them all over the top rope, I think. Just, as you do, we need that demonstration about how the Royal Rumble works in 2020, but he threw them all over the top rope to clean house. There's then a beautifully edited video package for Rocky Johnson here before we move on to our next match, which is Sonya Deville against Alexa Bliss. So Nikki and Mandy are at ringside here, and when everybody's sort of in the ring just before they ring the bell, Heavy Machinery's music hits and down they come. Bliss is distracted again as she was last week, and Sonya quickly takes advantage, but Bliss ain't gonna just sort of suffer it. She manages to fight her way back to her feet. It's at this point that Mandy gets up on the corner on the apron, and she's trying to distract Alexa. Nikki then jumps up real quick before she can do anything, shoves her off, and then Otis catches her in his arms. This proves to be enough of a distraction for Sonya. Sonya's like looking, going like, what's going on? Alexa does a cheeky roll up and picks up the win. Now, I'm going to give this one a C+, because again, it was less a match. It's more a route to a final story point, because we're sort of building up all of this stuff around Mandy and Otis. So Mandy's real intentions aren't quite showing themselves right now. We don't know whether she's using Otis. We don't know whether she has feelings. We don't know whether it's going to lead to fire and desire splitting, or whether maybe if she is being like nasty and trying to use Otis, is she going to get in between him and Tucky? Is she going to try and drive a wedge between Heavy Machinery? We then go backstage to Bobby Roode, who's in the locker room getting sorted before his main event match, and then Corbin and Ziggler pop up and they're like, yeah man, you're going to win tonight, you're going to put him through a table, and then we're going to have like matches, and we're going to like be able to choose a stipulation, and we're going to be able to make Roman like bow down, or shall we make him do this instead? And it's very clear that Roman is winning this match. And then we go to our main event of the evening, which is Roman Reigns against Robert Roode in a tables match. As I said, the winner of the match gets to choose the stipulation for Roman versus Corbin at the Royal Rumble. So as Roman's making his entrance, Roode attacks him from behind, beats him down, like drives him, I think, into the ring steps pretty quickly. There's then a bit of a brawl around the ring with Roman taking charge. I think Roman just sort of like beats Roode down a bit. I think Roode manages to again throw Roman into the ring steps. Roman does that whole thing where he runs around the ring. He's got like Roode in the timekeeper's area on that barricade. And then at the last minute, Roode moves out the way. Roman just goes sailing through the barricade, wipes himself out. And at this point, Baron Corbin comes out and we go to break. When we come back off the break, Roman is about to be superplexed by Roode through a table, but he manages to get out of it. There's then I think Roode flips the table over after Roman almost puts him through it, and so we're just at a bit of a stalemate. Roman then sets up a table in the corner of the ring. Things spill to the outside. He hits Roode with a Superman punch, and then once back in the ring, Roode's sort of flailing around and wobbling near the table. Roman's getting ready for a spear. I think he gets the hoo-ah, and then Corbin distracts him. Roman, I think, swings for Corbin, turns around straight into a super kick from Ziggler. So they beat him down, they take him to commentary, because if they put him through that table, that will also count as a victory, and then the Usos come out, and the Usos clean house. They beat down Corbin, they lay Ziggler across the announce table, they sort of tightrope walk across the barrier behind announcers, and then dive onto him, putting Ziggler through the table, and then very quickly after this, Roman puts Roode through the table in the corner. Roman picks up the win, and after the match, after the bell and everything, Roman gets the mic, and he's like, okay, it's going to be Falls Count Anywhere, because it's a big arena, it's a baseball stadium, Falls Count Anywhere, let's have some fun. I'm going to give this one a B-. A table match on TV, for me, felt nice and fresh. Feels like it's been ages since I've seen a table match main event show. I think the drama of everybody else getting involved was really nice as well. The only thing that's a bit annoying for me is the Falls Count Anywhere stip, because it just feels like a little bit of a cop-out. I'm hoping that what might happen is the match will start, and then they'll peel backstage and there'll be like a load of pre-recorded stuff of them brawling around the locker room. Like, it's the one thing with like Bruce Pritchard being back. I'm hoping there's going to be a lot more of this sort of, 90s, early 2000s style backstage stuff, because it's always fun when they're brawling out into like popcorn stands and stuff, and there's fans like around, and it's like the atmosphere of those matches. It always makes it so much more special for a Falls Count Anywhere match than just going around the crowd a bit and then, having it end there. But in terms of an overall grade for SmackDown this week, I'm gonna have to give it a B-. I think it was a little underwhelming in places, it was a little glossed over in others, but I think with us being this close to the Rumble, it's sort of always one of those things where there's just so much going on. But I think next week is the week they have to be laser focused, because that's, where they've got to cram absolutely everything. And next week should be hopefully high stakes, dramatic. We'll find out. I'm a little bit disappointed, as I said, with the Roman stip, but we'll just have to wait and see the match. The match could be absolutely amazing and could be this huge thing. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Braun and the IC title, but Braun and Kane are confirmed for the Rumble now as well, so that's pretty nice too. But yeah, other than that, we're just chugging along, same as always. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter @Cultaholic. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/Cultaholic. And no matter what you do, don't ever forget to hit subscribe and join us.